Hello, everybody. I have Frederik with me today, joining me from literally across the world, which is so cool today. But before we dive into our conversation about digital transformation and innovation in insurance, would you mind giving a quick introduction?
Not at all. Hey, everybody. I'm from Abu Dhabi at the moment, so that is on the other side of the world. I'm Frederik Bisbjerg, and I've been working in insurance and digital transformation the last, I would say, till 12, 14 years, predominantly in the Far East Asia. I spent some time in China and Thailand, and now I'm in the Middle East for the last 7 years. And my focus is digital transformation, but even more so getting it to work in the real world instead of just talking about it. I'm very happy to be here. Thank you.
Thank you for joining me. So to get us started, can you share a little bit about that advice, just like you said, about for incumbent insurers that are looking to start that innovation or transformation journey?
Yeah, of course. I think unless you're at the top 5 worldwide insurers, then your approach to digital transformation should be a little different than this corporate-wide change of everything, because that tends to put away the carpet under the feet of people. So in my experience, if you want to digitally transform an insurance company, you have to start in small bits and pieces. You have to look at specific units or even specific departments that have a burning platform that digital or automation can help improve or even make much better. And start there. Start in the small and make some successes that the rest of the organization can see, hey, it actually worked. Because if you do that, some things happen. First of all, you get a project that most people they can handle. It's not a super big project. It's maybe a 3 to 4 months project. You don't need too many people to help you to do it. The budgets are manageable, and you get the results quite fast, which means that it is less quote unquote dangerous for the organization. It's not like, oh, what's going on here? Because it's a smaller project, and then you can see that it works in this department. And then you can say, okay, let's try next department and next department. And all of a sudden, you're actually on your way to transforming your incumbent insurer. And that's, in my experience, what works unless you're one of these multi-billion-dollar project organizations, right, in the largest companies.
Yeah, prioritizing it and taking it one step at a time is certainly what I've seen is most effective. One of the ideas that I actually, the catalyst for me reaching out to you to talk a little bit more about was this idea of process innovation. And I saw you had created a video on that, and I thought it was such a cool idea that I wanted to make sure to take the time and talk through that with you today. So can you share a bit more about that idea?
Yeah, it's actually a derivative of what I was talking about before, because the process innovation is the how-to. So, okay, how do we go about and do this project for digital transformation? And it's a question of getting all these fancy words down to something that you can actually work with. And this is process innovation. In my world, what I mean is that you look at any process. It can be a claims process. It can even just be a claim approval process within a department, where you look at what are we doing today. And in most incumbent insurers, you will find that they're doing something like this, walking around themselves to get the things done. They're pushing paper. They're waiting for paper approvals. And this is a process. So take that process and look at, okay, how can we streamline that? How can we make sure that we only ask for the approvals that we actually need? How do we make sure that we eliminate the paper? How do we make sure that we get the digital signatures? How can we make sure that the things in this process get automated? And this can either be something that you make a computer program that automates, or it could be where you use robotics, right? Because if you have a data entry form that is the same day out and day in, then you can get a robot to do that. And that'll do it faster, but also take a lot of trivial work away from people. So it is that simple. But the beauty is when you take a lot of processes and add up and do this process innovation, then you're starting to innovate or change a whole department or a whole company at the end of the day. So my point of departure is always this the process that hurts the most, and see how can we change this. And just one more thing, because another important thing is if you want to start small, you have to find a process that not necessarily cross other business units. So you keep the process optimization within the same business unit, because if if you start looking into other business units, you will encounter some other challenges in terms of coordination and getting things done across these business units. So that is a simple point of departure.
Wonderful, thank you. One other thing I've seen a bit of conversation with you through your videos with is the idea of culture and how that plays into innovation. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, culture is everything, because culture is people, and people are what makes things happen. You can have the most fantastic plans on a piece of paper or a wall, but if people don't buy into it, then nothing happens. In a discussion, nothing happens, because it is the people that need to feel that they want to do it, and then they will do it. So culture is everything, and it's actually one of the reasons I suggested if you start this process change, start within your unit, because you will have cultural differences between your business units. So the operations department have a different culture than the sales department, for example. And if you try to optimize the processes between these two units, you will feel these cultural differences. And that will take a lot of leadership skills to overcome this and to make everybody understand that we actually have to work together to solve this problem. Because this traditional sales operations, right? Sales, they're always blaming operations for giving the wrong prices, for taking too long to calculate the price, and all these things, right? And operations goes the other way to sales and say they sell everything that they can without even thinking about, And this is an example of two cultures. And all of a sudden, you want to streamline some processes that runs across these two departments. It's very difficult. So culture is everything, and it's again a reason for me to recommend that whenever you start looking at digital transformation, you must look at it as small steps as possible and with as few people as possible, because the fewer people, the easier it is for you to understand where people are coming from and working with them, so they also get an understanding of why this is necessary. So to me, culture and people is everything to make this work.
Some of that cultural friction will kind of dissipate as you've talked about, like, you've proven your track record and shown that there's success. People will start to be less friction focused during that transformation effort if you've shown that track record.
Yeah, because they'll be less nervous about what's happening in the future, right? Because they've seen, hey, it's actually good. Because whenever you introduce change to anything, I mean, us as human beings, we are habit people, so we don't like changes. And if you introduce changes into your work environment, you start worrying about your future. You started worrying about your job, your power position, your authority, the influence that you have, and all these things. That is human nature. You cannot fight it. So you have to accept it's there. So you have to work with this when you start looking at how can we change the company, because you have to change the people first. You have to make people understand why they have to do it. Otherwise, they will just work against you.
Well, I appreciate you sitting down again on the other side of the world with me today to talk a little bit about this idea of innovation. And I would encourage anybody that wants to learn a little bit more from Frederik to follow the link to his LinkedIn and reach out to him directly if you've got any further questions. But thank you so much for your time, and have a wonderful day, everybody.
Thank you so much. Thank you.